Hey guys, tonight we're going back, way back. You open your eyes to a world with no cities, no phones, no clocks, no names, just the crunch of dry grass under your feet and the distant grunt of something big watching from the trees. You're not a king. You're not a soldier. You're not even special. You're just you, a Homo sapiens, living about 50,000 years before the present. You wake up under the open sky, your body stiff from sleeping on dirt. Last night the stars were so clear you could almost feel them pressing down on you. But now the sun's rising. A pale orange glow spills across the savannah, and it's time to move again. Because if you stay still too long, something out there will make sure you never get up again. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, tell me where you're listening from. What's the local time? Are you curled up in bed already? Or just closing your laptop for the night? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You walk barefoot through golden grass. It scratches at your calves. The soil's dry, cracked, warm beneath your soles. Your legs ache, but you've gotten used to that. Your group, your band, they're already up ahead, moving slowly, always moving. There's no map, no compass, no destination, only instinct, memory, and maybe something like hope. You follow the animals. Wherever they go, you go. They don't know it, but they're leading you to water, to shelter, to food. And if you're lucky away from the bigger predators, your people number maybe 15. Some older than you, some much younger. There's a woman carrying a baby on her back. A boy trailing behind, dragging a stick in the dirt. You nod to one another, but there's no chit-chat. Not yet. Not really. Language is still a newborn. There are sounds, gestures, signals. A sharp whistle means danger. A low grunt might mean food, or keep walking. Or maybe just am tired. Historians still argue when full language truly arrived. Some say it was around this time. Others think it came later when we learned to lie. But even now, around the fire at night, you can sense something changing. People don't just grunt anymore. They shape their mouths carefully. They repeat sounds, echo each other, invent little songs, little names. It's not perfect, but it's growing. And when the right rhythm hits, everyone listens. As you walk, a shadow moves in the grass. You freeze. Is it a lion? A hyena? A leopard? No, it's only a jackal. It sees you, but you're not worth the trouble. Not today. Still, your heart is pounding. You let out a slow breath. You didn't even notice you were holding it. Fear lives inside your ribs now, like a roommate, always there, always whispering. You cross a narrow stream. The water is shallow and brown, but you drink it anyway. You don't have much choice. You scoop it with your hands, mud and all. It tastes like wet stone. It tastes like survival. You look down and see something pale in the water. Bone, just a shard. But enough to remind you not everyone makes it. You remember the old man, the one with the crooked leg. He stopped walking 3 days ago. You didn't see what happened next. No one talks about it. But when you looked back, he wasn't there. This world doesn't wait for the weak. It barely waits for the strong. Up ahead, you spot a familiar cluster of trees. There's a small cliffside nearby. You've stayed there before. A shallow cave just deep enough to sleep in and not wake up soaking wet if the rains come. The sun dips lower. Shadows stretch long across the plain. The group picks up speed. You reach the cave just as the light fades. The walls are cool, smell faintly of moss and ash. It's not home, but nothing ever is. One of the older women kneels by the fire pit. She finds a few coals still warm beneath the ash. She blows on them gently, puffs of red glow back to life. Twigs are added, then dry grass, then a few thicker branches. Soon the fire crackles. It snaps and sighs. Orange light dances across the cave walls. You feel warmth again, and safety, at least for now. A boy hands you a strip of dried meat. It's tough, chewy, but you chew anyway. It fills your stomach, fills the silence. There's a girl sitting nearby. She hums softly. Not a song exactly, but there's rhythm to it. A pulse. Others begin to tap along, fingers on stone, feet against the dirt. Is this music? You wonder. Or just something your people do when they're not afraid for once. You glance at the child curled beside you. She's asleep, one hand gripping a smooth pebble. Her breathing is steady. So is yours. Your eyes grow heavy, but you fight sleep for a moment longer. Outside, a wind picks up. You hear distant thunder. Rain is coming. You hope it waits until morning. You lie back on your folded hide. The fire's warmth brushes your cheeks. Smoke rises lazily into the dark, and for a few hours the world is still. Your mind drifts. You see animals, not the real ones. The dream kind, painted in firelight, antelope leaping, snakes coiling, elephants watching you from the tall grass, their eyes strangely human. You don't know it yet, but this is the beginning of something. The first flickers of memory, of myth, of story. And you're right at the edge of it. You wake up before the sun. Not because you want to, but because something stirred in the dark. You sit up slowly. Your neck's stiff. Your legs are tangled in the hide. Your skin is cold where the fire died out. You blink toward the cave mouth. Still dark. But there's that faint gray line out there, the one that means dawn is creeping in. You scan the shadows. Stillness. But not silence. You can hear it, something breathing. Is it a hyena? Another human? A trick of the wind? You grip your stone-tipped spear. The wood is worn smooth from your own hand. You've held this thing for months now. Maybe years. You're not counting. Time is more of a vibe than a number out here. You listen harder. The sound's gone, for now. You exhale. Your breath fogs in the cool morning air. You didn't even realize you were holding it. The others are still asleep, curled beside each other like driftwood, blanketed in hides, hands over faces, mouths open, no dreams, just deep, exhausted stillness. You step carefully over legs and tools and the fire pit filled with pale ash. You don't want to wake anyone. Not because you're polite, because cranky cavemen are the worst. Outside, the horizon begins to warm. Just a little. You squint toward it. The tall grass is wet with dew. The trees are barely more than shadows. But you know this place. You've stayed here before. 2 seasons ago, maybe 3. It looked different then. Greener. More animals. More promise. Now, it feels quiet. Too quiet. You crouch. Touch the dirt. There are tracks here. Small ones. A deer. Or something like it. Not fresh. Not enough. Your stomach growls. Loudly. A sound that would embarrass you if embarrassment had been invented yet. But it hasn't. So you just roll your eyes and rub your belly like, yeah, I know. I'm working on it. By the time the sun clears the horizon, your band is stirring. A grunt here, a cough there. Someone stretches and hits someone else in the face. There's a groggy emph followed by some light shoving. Classic morning energy. The old woman with the sharp elbows starts clanging flint together just to annoy everyone awake. And now the baby's crying. Congratulations. It's time to start the day. Breakfast as well, if you're lucky. It's leftovers from yesterday. A bit of dried root, Maybe a stringy piece of squirrel. If you're unlucky, it's bitter leaves that make your tongue go numb and give you dreams of giant talking mushrooms. That actually happened once. You don't talk about it. After chewing something vaguely edible, you all begin packing up. Everything you own fits in a few hide bundles: bone tools, a few spears, a stone bowl that took someone 2 weeks to hollow out, your lucky charm of red pebble shaped kind of like a foot. You carry it always. Not because it does anything, but because losing it would feel like losing yourself. That too might be a new thing your species is doing. Symbolic thinking. Historians call it a major leap. That moment when humans stop just surviving and start meaning things. A rock isn't just a rock. It's your rock. A mark on a wall isn't just a mark. It's a memory. And today, you're going to leave a memory. The sun climbs higher. You walk across the dry plain. The grass is brittle underfoot. Birds swoop low and vanish into trees. Something howls in the far distance. Your group is quieter than usual. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe it's that hunger that never really goes away. Or maybe it's what you're all heading toward: a cave, one that someone swears is filled with drawings. You've heard of such places. Your uncle said he once saw a wall covered in painted horses. Horses with too many legs, dancing like spirits. You didn't believe him. He also thought owls were the souls of lost hunters, and that snails were a punishment from the sky gods. But still you're curious. By midday, you reach the cave. It doesn't look like much. A dark mouth in the side of a stone hill. But as soon as you step inside, you feel it. Cool air, the smell of mineral dust, and silence. Real silence. Not the kind outside that's filled with wind and insects and distant growls. This is the silence of stone listening. Your feet crunch over dirt. The torch someone lit flickers against the walls. And then you see them. Lines, curves, color, painted animals. Herds of them. Buffalo, deer, maybe wolves. Some are crude, some are shockingly smooth. There's motion in them. A kind of life. As if they're watching you back. You freeze. The torch shakes in your hand. These drawings are old. Older than your grandmother. Older than her grandmother. Maybe older than memory itself. But they're here. Waiting. And you realize someone wanted to be remembered. Someone wanted you to see. You reach out. Not to touch. Just to feel the air near it. You whisper something without meaning to. A name, a sound, a prayer. You don't know. That night, you make your own mark. Not with paint, you don't have any. But you scrape a line into the rock with a sharp piece of bone. Just a curve, a wave, nothing fancy. But it's yours. And as the firelight dances, someone beside you begins to hum. Another taps a rhythm on a stone. You close your eyes, let the sounds wash over you. Let the walls breathe with you. And in that moment, you feel something stir. Something deeper than hunger. Something older than fear. The beginning of imagination. And maybe just maybe the first flicker of a soul. You wake before the light reaches the cave. Your eyes open to shadow. The fire is down to embers, glowing red like sleepy eyes in the dark. Smoke curls toward the ceiling, faint and slow, like breath from something older than time. Your bones complain as you sit up. Your knees are stiff, your back tight. The hide you slept on is damp with your own sweat. You shift in place, stretch, listen. The others are still sleeping. Bodies curled like roots across the cave floor. A few soft snores, a cough, someone murmuring in their sleep. You stare at the wall beside you. There it is again, the drawing. Faint lines, curved horns, painted legs mid-motion. a creature caught between memory and imagination. You don't know who drew it. Maybe someone like you, maybe someone long gone, but you feel something strange looking at it. Like the stone remembers. Like it watched that animal and someone helped it tell the story. You run your fingers along the wall. The stone is cool, rough, but where the ochre is, it feels smoother. Like the painting softened it. It makes you wonder, how long has it been there? 10 winters? 100? Historians still argue how far back these images go. Some say 40,000 years. Others say more. Much more. But nobody really knows. Because stories like this don't come with dates, only with echoes. By the time the cave begins to fill with gray light, you're outside. The air smells like wet bark and old fire. Birdsong filters through the trees, low and cautious, like even the birds aren't quite sure it's morning yet. You walk a short way from camp. Your feet leave soft impressions in the mud. You pause at the stream. The water's clearer than yesterday, cold. You scoop some into your hands, drink slowly, and wipe your face. It wakes you up better than any ritual. Across the stream, you spot something odd. A smooth rock. Flat. With markings. 3 lines. Scratched. Deliberate. Not claw marks, not weathering. Human. Recent. Someone was here. Maybe watching, maybe just passing by. You don't feel fear exactly, but your grip tightens on your spear. You listen. Nothing. Only the trees. Only the stream. Only your own heartbeat. When you return, the group is awake, stirring slowly, rolling up hides, gnawing on dry root. There's little food left. Enough for a day or two. No one complains. What would be the point? Instead, someone hums. That same low tune from 2 nights ago. You don't know who started it. Maybe no one remembers. But now it feels like yours. You find a piece of bark. Take a bit of soot from the old fire and start drawing. A spiral, a line, a shape that might be a sun, or an eye, or just something. The others watch you. Then someone else joins in. They draw a wave. Another person adds dots beside it. It becomes a game. No rules, no words, just meaning, or the beginning of it. You spend the rest of the morning walking, through forest, across stream beds, past trees marked with cuts, maybe your own from seasons ago, or from others like you. You walk in silence. Not because you're tense, but because it's easier. Easier to listen, to feel the path, to hear the way the world breathes. Eventually, you smell smoke. Not your smoke. Stranger smoke. You slow down. Your group gathers tighter. Hands hover near weapons. Through the trees, a clearing. And in the middle of fire, a group, maybe 15 of them. A few standing, most sitting, eating, talking, watching. You watch them too. 2 groups, both cautious, both tired, both human. The standoff holds for a long minute. Then someone steps forward, a woman, older, hair streaked with gray, eyes steady. She holds up a hand palm out, slow, gentle. In it, a bead, carved, bone, polished. She holds it forward. Your elder glances back at you, nods. You step ahead. From your pouch, you pull your own token, a small red shell, carved into a shape like a bird's wing. You trade, bead for shell. That's the moment everything shifts. Soon you're sharing the clearing. 2 fires, food passed between strangers, laughter, gestures, not quite the same words, but enough, always enough. You sit beside a boy your age. He shows you a string of beads. You hand him the bark with a spiral. He points at it, nods, draws a fish next to it, then a stick figure with its mouth open. Singing, you laugh. He laughs. And suddenly, there's understanding. You find a flat rock, start again. More symbols, more guesses, more shared silence that says, I see you. Later that night, your fires burn side by side. Children chase fireflies. Two men argue about nothing. A woman hums a tune that everyone slowly picks up. It becomes a rhythm. Hands slap stone. Feet tap dirt. Voices rise and fall like waves. There's a moment just before you sleep where you feel it in your chest. Not fear, not hunger, not loneliness, belonging. Historians call this the creative explosion of the Upper Paleolithic, a surge of symbolic behavior, art, music, trade, ceremony. Some say it was language that unlocked it. Others say it was brain structure, or even the stress of changing climates. There's one theory, a fringe one, that says we began to dream differently, more vividly, more narratively. That dreams themselves sparked culture. You don't know if that's true. But tonight, as you curl beside the fire, you dream of drawings that move, of stars that sing, of people who leave marks not for survival but for beauty. And in your dream, you understand them perfectly. You wake slowly, the dream still clinging to you. There were stars, painted animals, a sound like singing you couldn't quite understand, and hands, so many hands reaching across stone. Yours among them. The fires burned low. The cave is quiet, except for the soft snore of someone nearby and the faint stir of wind outside. You sit up, stretch, feel your back crack. Your shoulders ache from the cold night air, but the hide around you helped. It always helps, even when it smells like smoke and wet dog, even when the edges are fraying. You glance at the others. They're still curled in sleep, some clutching bundles of dried grass. One child has both arms wrapped around a small carved figure, an animal maybe, or a spirit, or just something to hold. You get up quietly, step past the others, duck into the early light. The cave mouth opens wide to the sky. The air is cold and wet, the ground soft with morning dew. You breathe in, long, slow, and for a second, it almost feels like a prayer. You're farther north now. You can feel it in your bones, in the crispness of the air, in the color of the trees. The leaves are darker, thicker. The birds quieter, their calls shorter, more cautious. And the ground, it's firmer, damp, frost-laced in places. You're not in the warm savanna anymore, not even close. But you're dressed for it, not with fashion, with function. You look down at your legs wrapped in hide strips, stitched with sinew, layered over dried grass for insulation. It's not beautiful, but it works. Your coat is heavy. Too heavy, maybe, but it holds in heat like nothing else. It clings to your shoulders, weighted by time and blood and ingenuity. You remember the work that went into it, how many hours it took to scrape the hide, how the smell stuck to your hands for days, how the bone needle snapped twice before you finished. Tailoring isn't glamorous, but it changed everything. This is where things began to shift. For your kind, for Homo Sapiens. Because you couldn't grow fur like the animals, couldn't hibernate through winter like the bears. You had to think your way into warmth. Clothing made from tailored hides let you go where other species couldn't. Into the cold, across the ice, through mountains, into survival zones once unlivable. Neanderthals were built for this. Shorter limbs, stronger torsos, natural insulation. You had thin skin, sweaty palms, and knees that creaked when the temperature dropped. But you had thread and bone and ideas. That was the difference. You return to the cave. The group is stirring. Someone is tending the fire. Someone else is chewing a root with the enthusiasm of someone who's accepted disappointment as part of their daily routine. There's a quiet discussion, some people pointing, gesturing to the sun, to the cliffs. The plan is simple. Keep moving north. Why? Because someone thinks there are birds. Lots of birds. Big ones, with eggs and feathers for fletching and fat for cooking. Also, rumor has it, there's a cave overlooking the sea, and it's dry and clean and has good stone for carving. That's all you need to hear. By late morning, you're walking again. The trees begin to thin. The land opens wide. You climb higher. The air gets sharper, like a blade gently tracing your cheeks. Your nose runs. Your hands go numb, then tingle. You press them under your arms to warm them. You spot the first patch of snow. It's small, melted at the edges, barely there, but you step into it anyway. Feel the crunch under your foot, like cold sand, like memory. You keep moving. The path rises. You clamber over loose stone, help pull up someone behind you. The shared grunt of effort, that brief eye contact, that is community. And then you see it. The sea, gray, cold, endless, breathing in slow waves that crash into cliffs with the rhythm of time itself. You stop. So does everyone else. It's bigger than anything you've ever seen. It looks like the end of the world. You've heard of it. But stories don't prepare you. There are birds, hundreds, swooping, shrieking, diving toward the foam, some with wingspans longer than your arms, others waddling in groups near the rocks. You could live here, if the cave is good, if the birds stay, if the wind doesn't tear your shelter apart. You descend slowly, carefully. The stone is slippery with moss and mist. And then the cave. Just as promised. Shallow but dry, facing the water, with flat walls, smooth enough to paint. That night, you light a fire. And once again, you reach for the ochre. You've done this before. Crush the red rock between two stones. Mix it with spit. Or animal fat. Or the egg from a stolen bird's nest. You use a stick, your fingers, a flat piece of bone. This time you draw your hand, dip it, press it to the stone, hold. When you pull away, there it is. A red print, 5 fingers, your mark. Someone gasps, not loudly, but you hear it. Others join. They add their hands beside yours. Different sizes, shapes, colors. Soon the wall is full of them. Hands reaching, pressing, saying, "We were here." It's not about art. It's about presence, proof, memory. Historians still don't know why humans started leaving these marks. Some say it was ritual, magic, prayers to hunting gods. Others say it was social, a sign of belonging. There's one theory, a strange one, that says the handprint was meant for the living. It was for the dead. A message. A whisper. Don't forget us. You don't know what you believe. But standing in that cave, watching all those hands appear on the wall, you feel something inside you shift. A hush. A weight. A warmth, and then music. Not from an instrument, from a voice. One of the elders begins to sing. Soft, slow, like stone turned to sound. The melody winds through the air like smoke. Others join, low hums, throaty calls. A rhythm older than words. You sit by the fire, hands stained red, watching shadows dance. And you realize this is more than survival now. This is story. This is ritual. This is memory. You close your eyes. The sea sighs below. The wind strokes the cave wall. And you sleep, knowing your hand will still be here long after you're gone. The sea is still whispering when you wake. You lie there for a moment, eyes closed, listening to it breathe in and out, slow and deep and endless, like a voice too old to form words. You stretch under your hide. The edges are cold, damp, but not wet enough to be miserable. Not yet. You sit up, rub your eyes, blink toward the mouth of the cave. It's still early. The sky outside is that gray-blue color you only see right before sunrise when the world isn't awake, but it's definitely not asleep anymore. The fire's down to orange lumps and scattered ash. It smells like burned fat and wet wood. You poke it with a stick, watch a few sparks drift up, then fade like lazy fireflies. Someone else stirs. A soft grunt. A cough. The group is waking up slowly, the way they always do after a hard sleep and a thin meal. Your stomach growls before you even stand. You ignore it. Or try to. The hunger isn't sharp anymore. It's dull now. A steady pressure, like someone gently tapping your ribs from the inside. Polite, but relentless. There's not much left from yesterday. A few bits of dried root. A single cracked egg that didn't rot overnight. It's food, sort of. You share it with the child beside you. She doesn't smile, but she chews fast. That's gratitude enough. You step out of the cave. The wind hits you first, sharp and salty. It slips through the seams in your coat, curls around your neck like cold fingers. You breathe deep. It hurts a little, but in a good way. Like your lungs are finally waking up, too. The sky is overcast. Low, heavy clouds press down on the cliffs. Gulls shriek overhead, circling something out over the water. You glance down at the beach below. The tide's going out. Perfect. Time to forage. You don't hunt with spears today. You hunt with eyes, with hands, with patience. The shoreline's slippery. Slick stones, tangling seaweed, tiny shells that crunch underfoot. You move carefully. There's a rhythm to it. Like listening to a song you barely know. You crouch beside a tide pool, peer in, clear water, rippling light. Tiny crabs dart sideways, hiding beneath rocks. You lift a stone, nothing. Another, still nothing. Then a clam, half buried in sand. You pry it free. It wriggles slightly. Still alive. You grin, toss it into your pouch. A few others join you, silent but near. You nod at each other, not out of politeness, just to say, I see you. I know what you're doing. Keep going. You find more clams. Then a strange blob, pinkish gray, soft, covered in bumps. You've seen it before. Someone called it sea meat. It smells like the inside of a rotten gourd. You sniff it, gag a little, but shrug. You've eaten worse. Into the pouch it goes. By mid-morning, your group's gathered back by the fire. A pile of shellfish, some crabs, 2 sea squirts, a fish someone caught by pure luck, still twitching in their hands like it has given up yet. It's not a feast, but it's something. You build the fire higher. Use a carved stone bowl, line it with hot rocks, add seawater, let it boil. You toss in the clams, the fish, the blobs. It hisses, spits, smells strange, sharp, savory. When it's ready, you each take turns sipping from the bowl, using cupped hands, or carved scoops, or just slurping straight from the side. Warmth spreads down your chest, into your stomach. It feels like being alive. You chew, swallow. Don't think too hard about texture. You've learned not to ask what anything is. If it doesn't kill you, it was food. Later, you sit at the back of the cave. Your hands are still damp, your fingers stained with ash and fish oil. You pick up a flat stone, a lump of burnt wood, and start to draw. Not an animal this time, not a hand, just a shape. A circle with a spiral inside. You don't know what it means, but your fingers keep moving. Beside you, someone adds dots. Another person draws a fish. It becomes a mural without a plan. Just marks, symbols, motion, a visual memory. Not of a battle, not of a great hunt. Just a day, a moment, a meal that kept you breathing. You wonder if anyone in the future will look at it. Try to guess what it meant. You hope they do, even if they're wrong. That night, as the wind howls beyond the cave, an elder begins to speak. Not loudly, not dramatically, just steadily. A story. but not one with characters or plot. It's about a bird and a hill that sings, and a cave that dreams. The words drift around the fire like smoke, curling into the cracks in the stone. You listen. So does everyone else. The story has no ending. It just stops, like waking from a dream too early. But it doesn't feel incomplete. It feels right. You lean back, close your eyes. You see the hill. You hear the bird. You feel the cave dreaming beneath you. Historians still debate where storytelling began. Was it around the fire, in song, in dance, in those first handprints? Some think stories helped us remember. Others think they helped us forget. But you don't care about the theory. You care about the silence that follows the story, that weight in the chest, that calm behind the eyes. You lie down, pull the hide over your shoulders. The fire pops softly beside you. Outside, the sea continues its endless rhythm. In, out, and you sleep. Not full, but not starving. Not happy, but not alone. And the drawing on the wall waits in the dark, like it's listening too. The wind finds its way into the cave long before the light does. It slips under your hide, curls around your toes, brushes your face like cold fingers testing to see if you're still breathing. You are, barely. You blink slowly. The fire's out. Ashes only. A faint curl of smoke still drifting upward like a final sigh. Your breath fogs in front of your lips. You sit up. Your back pops in 3 places. Your breath hitches. You pull the hide tighter around your shoulders and glance around the cave. Others are stirring, faces wrapped in fur, hands tucked beneath thighs, bodies curved inward. No one speaks. Cold has a way of pressing the words right out of you. You stand, stretch. Every joint protests. You ignore them. There's a sharpness to the air this morning. Not just cold, hungry cold. A biting, steady kind. The kind that doesn't want to kill you fast. Just slowly. Quietly. Without a fuss. Outside, the sea is angry again. The wind howls. Waves crash. Spray hammers the cliffs in bursts that send mist high into the air. The sky is thick with bruised clouds. Gray, swollen, heavy with something that hasn't decided whether it wants to fall as snow or rain. You pull your coat tighter. It creaks slightly, stiff with salt and old blood. You aren't the only one at the cave mouth. A few others stand nearby, staring at the same sky, the same water, the same uncertainty. One of them mutters, "Too cold." Another shakes their head. We should move. No one argues. The cave has kept you alive for days now. But it's losing the fight. The wind finds more ways in each night. The ground inside is colder than the air outside. The last of the dry wood is gone. And food? Almost nothing. So you pack. There's not much to carry. Your bundle holds everything you own. 2 stone blades, a fishbone needle, a hide sack with a few scraps of smoked meat, a carved pendant made from a bird's foot, and a black stone with a red smear across it, one you took from the wall before you left. You wrap it carefully. You don't need it. But it matters. You tie your coat with a length of sinew, pull your boots higher, and join the others. Today, you go inland. The walk begins slow. Not because you're tired, but because the ground fights you. Muddy in places, frozen in others, uneven, slick, littered with hidden roots. You fall once, catch yourself with your hands. The cold bites into your palms like teeth. You wipe them on your coat and keep walking. Around you, the forest thickens. The trees here are tall, their bark flaking in long strips. The trunks creak softly in the wind-old, tired voices murmuring just out of reach. You move through them like ghosts. No one talks. No one sings. There's nothing left to say that the trees haven't already whispered. By midday, you're deeper into the woods. The air is quieter here, still cold, but less brutal. The trees cut the wind, the snow is patchy. You feel your hands again. Someone spots tracks. You all stop. The prints are wide, flat, four toes, deer. You follow them. Not because you expect a catch, just because it gives you direction, something to believe in, something that doesn't ask questions. After another hour, you come upon a clearing. You stop. Everyone does. Because at the far end of the clearing is something strange. A shelter. Not one of yours. Older, more weathered. It's made from curved branches, bent low and lashed together. The walls are packed with moss and mud. Snow dusts the roof. You approach slowly, careful, respectful, like you're entering someone else's dream. Inside, you find bones. Old, clean, stacked in a neat pile, a cracked bowl, a few feathers tied in a bunch, and carved into the main beam a spiral. You stare at it for a long time. Your hand drifts to your pouch, to the stone you carry with the same mark. You don't know who lived here, or when, or what became of them, but you feel something settle in your chest. You aren't the first. You won't be the last. You stay, just for the night. The shelter's not perfect. One wall is sagging. The roof leaks near the edge, but it holds heat. And for now, that's enough. You pile stones in a circle, use dried bark and broken twigs. Start a fire, small at first, then stronger. The light flickers across the faces of your group. For the first time all day, someone smiles. The night is warmer than expected. You sit close to the flames, sharing a bit of roasted root, a handful of dried berries. Someone passes around a skin of water. Someone else hums low, almost lazy. It's not quite a song. More like a rhythm that keeps your brain from collapsing in on itself. You look up at the roof. It's low, pressed close. But it feels like shelter. It feels like being held. Someone starts drawing in the dirt. With a stick. With their finger. It doesn't matter. Lines, shapes, a reindeer, a spiral, a river. You join in, draw fire, a hand, a path. No one explains. No one needs to. It's not about clarity. It's about connection. These aren't instructions. They're echoes. Proof you were here. That this night happened. Historians still argue how humans learned to survive the cold. Some say it was shelter. Some say it was the invention of layered clothing, or fire management, or changes in diet. Others believe it was culture. That singing, drawing, sharing these things weren't luxuries. They were survival mechanisms. They kept spirits high, kept minds sharp, kept people from turning on each other when the dark stayed too long. You think they might be right. Because tonight, you're not just warm. You're seen, you're heard. The fire crackles. Someone tells a story not with words, but with sounds and shapes. The others watch. They laugh in the right places, they nod, they remember. And when sleep finally pulls you down, you fall into it not with fear, but with calm. The spiral on the shelter wall glows faintly in the firelight, like it's still listening. And you drift, carried by warmth and silence, and the memory of someone who came before. You wake before the sun touches the frost. The shelter is still and heavy with breath. Your own and the others. A soft chorus of sighs and shifting hides. The quiet murmurs of people too cold to dream deeply. You lie there, wrapped tight, your hands tucked under your arms, your legs curled inward, trying to preserve just a little more heat. The fire burned low last night. You used the last of the dry wood. There's nothing left but crumbling charcoal and a few half-burned sticks. You shift slightly. Your shoulder brushes the hide wall. Cold, damp, unforgiving. It's time to move again. Outside, the air bites harder than it did yesterday. You breathe through your mouth because the inside of your nose feels frozen. Your fingers sting as soon as you slip them out from under the furs. Frost clings to every branch, every stone, even the tall grass around the clearing bent and brittle, like frozen fur. Your boots crunch softly as you step onto the trail. A path barely visible, just the memory of feet passing this way before. Yours, and maybe someone else's long ago. The sky is pale, not yet blue, just pale. The kind of morning that promises a long day, but doesn't bother to promise a good one. There's a word passed between the group. Not a loud one, just a breath of sound. River. Someone says they remember it. Beyond the woods. A wide, shallow crossing. Frozen at the edges. Drinkable, crossable. That's all you need to hear. You peck quickly, hands moving on their own. Hides folded. Bone tools wrapped. Food what little you have tied into pouches. One smoked root. A handful of dried meat. Enough for a day. You tuck a smooth red pebble into your pouch. A lucky stone you picked up weeks ago. You don't know why you still carry it. But every time you think about tossing it, your hand tightens around it. You shoulder your bundle and start walking. The forest thins as you go. It's quieter here. No birds this morning. Just the crunch of feet, the low breaths of those around you, the occasional grunt when someone stumbles on a root hidden under the snow. Your legs ache. Your toes are numb. Your throat burns with the cold. But you keep moving. You always do. There's no choice, and no reward for stopping. By midday, the trees fall away altogether. The sky opens above you, a pale canvas brushed with streaks of silver cloud. And far ahead, glinting in the light, the river. Wide, flat, still. You stand there for a long moment. No one speaks. You just watch the water. And it watches you. It doesn't look deep, but it's moving. Slow, quiet, like it's thinking. You edge closer. The bank is muddy, rimmed with slushy snow. The water smells clean, icy, sharp, full of stone. Someone tests it. They step in slowly, water sloshing over the tops of their boots. They flinch but keep going. The current pulls a little, but not much. You can do this. You tie your coat tighter, lift your bundle over your head, step into the water. It is colder than anything you felt this season. Not just cold, consuming. You clench your jaw. Wade forward. Each step is heavier. Your muscles contract against the cold. Your feet ache inside your boots. You try to move faster, but you don't dare slip. One step, another, another. The water reaches your knees, then your thighs. It's not deep, but it feels endless. You don't breathe until you're on the other side. You drop your bundle, collapse onto the frozen ground. Your legs shake, your fingers tingle, your jaw won't unclench. But you are across, so are the others. Some limping, some shivering violently, but no one's missing. You find dry grass, dead twigs. Someone strikes flint. The fire takes longer than usual. Your fingers won't cooperate. The wind won't hold still. But then a spark, a flame, smoke, warmth. The whole group gathers around it, huddled close, steaming like a herd of animals after a cold rain. You don't talk, you just breathe. That's enough for now. You stay by the river for a while, long enough to dry your boots, to press the warmth back into your chest, to eat the last of your dried meat without really tasting it. Across the water, you see your old footprints already disappearing, melted, distorted, like they were never really there. You wonder how many other crossings like this have already been forgotten. How many fires have gone out without leaving a single mark behind? Historians say it was crossings like these that shaped everything to come. Not the big ones, not the famous ones, but the small ones. Little rivers, little trails, moments of decision made by people just trying not to die. That's how Homo sapiens spread, how the world became full of us. They crossed rivers, they followed game, they followed each other. And one crossing at a time, they kept going. That night, you camped not far from the water. The fire is smaller now, the wood is damp, but it burns. You sit beside it, watching the flames eat the cold inch by inch. Someone hums, someone else draws in the mud with a stick, a circle, a line through the middle. The river. You add a mark to the far side, a tiny hand. Yours. Because you crossed, because you made it, because you want the dirt to remember even if you don't. Sleep comes easier tonight. You're exhausted, but also calm. The sound of the river mingles with the crackle of the fire, and as your eyes close, you imagine the map beneath your body, all the paths carved by people like you, all the crossings, all the fires left smoking in the wind. You're part of it now, a thread in the tapestry, a step in the story. And tomorrow, you walk again. You wake before the sun rises, not from sound, not from movement, but from cold. It has crept into your bones overnight, wrapped around your spine, settled in your chest like a silent weight. You blink in the darkness. The sky beyond the shelter is still that deep, heavy blue that comes just before dawn. But the snow is glowing faintly soft, silver light reflecting from the ground itself. The fire is dead. Nothing left but pale ash and a few blackened bones. You reach your hand towards the coals. No heat, not even the memory of it. You sit up slowly. Your muscles resist. Your shoulders ache. Every movement feels like a negotiation with pain. But you're alive. And that's something. That's everything. The others stir one by one. No one speaks. There's nothing to say. You all feel it. It's colder today. Not just outside, inside. Inside your hands. Inside your teeth. Inside your thoughts. You chew a scrap of old meat. It's tough. Stringy. It tastes like smoke and old salt. You swallow it anyway. You have to. There's a decision waiting. You can't stay here much longer. The snow is thick now. The shelter sags at the edges. The wind last night pulled loose one of the hide flaps. You fixed it. But not well. The cold is finding you faster than you can keep it out. Someone mentions the traps. You nod. Pick up your spear. Sling the hide pouch over your shoulder. Your boots are stiff with frozen mud. Your coat smells like wet fur and wood smoke. You head into the forest. The snow crunches under your feet. Each step is a small labor. You lean forward as you walk, arms close to your body, every breath visible in the air. Your eyes scan the ground. You know where you set the traps. One near a fallen tree, one along a narrow trail, one by the stream. The first is empty, undisturbed, not even a paw print nearby. The second sprung, but nothing inside, just fur, gray, soft. A tuft caught on the side. It was a rabbit. Clever one. Slipped through. You sigh. The third one is harder to reach, near the stream. You move slowly, careful not to slip on the frozen rocks. And there, movement. Something's caught. You hurry forward. Your heart starts to pound. It's a hare. Large, white-furred. Still struggling, but its leg is twisted. Snared in the cord, blood on the snow. You crouch. Speak softly. Not words. Just sounds. Soothing tones. For the animal. And for you. You end it quickly. You don't let it suffer. You press your hand to its side. Feel the warmth fading fast. You whisper thanks. Out loud. The breath curls up and vanishes into the trees. You wrap the hair in your hide cloth. Hold it close. Carry it back like it's something holy. Because it is. When you return, the camp is quiet. But faces light up when they see what you're holding. No one cheers, no one claps, but you hear it in the exhale. See it in the posture. Relief. You clean the animal together, hands moving fast despite the cold. You keep the fur, save the bones, roast the meat over the fire you've rebuilt. The smell is heavenly. The sound of fat sizzling is music. You eat slowly. Every bite matters. The warmth spreads through your chest, through your arms, into your fingertips. Someone makes a joke, a weak one, but people laugh. It's the best moment of the week. After the meal, you sit with a leg bone in your lap. You clean it carefully, scrape away the sinew, polish it with a stone. Then you carve, not for tools, for memory. One line, then another, then a small spiral. You don't know what it means. Not exactly, but it means something. It always does. In the afternoon, you scout. You head east. Alone this time. Just for a short distance. To look for shelter. Or tracks. Or signs. The snow is deeper here, but the trees grow farther apart, and then you see it. Not an animal, not a cave. A footprint. Large, deep. Long toes. Not yours. Not anyone from your group. Too wide. Too short. You crouch. There's another print, and another. A trail. You follow it. Slowly. Cautiously. It leads through the trees, then stops. You look up. There a figure. Moving between the trees. Broad shoulders. Heavy build. Dark hair. Not an animal. Not exactly human. Or not your kind. It walks upright. Carries something, a stick. A spear. You freeze. Hold your breath. The figure doesn't turn. It keeps walking. Then disappears into the forest. You stay there a long time, heart pounding. Back at camp, you don't tell the full story. Just enough. You say, I saw someone. A few nod. No surprise, no panic. Just understanding. One person mutters, they're still out there. You all sit closer to the fire that night. The world feels bigger. Stranger. More alive. You look at the carved bone in your lap. Add one more mark. A symbol for the one you saw. The quiet one walking through snow who didn't look back. Historians still puzzle over our cousins. Neanderthals, Denisovans, shadow species. So close to us and yet not. Did we live alongside them? Did we trade? Did we fear each other? Some say yes, some say no. Some say we're still carrying pieces of them inside our bones. You wonder. You really do. That night you sleep lighter, half listening for footsteps, but none come, only wind and breath, and the soft sound of snow falling on the roof of your shelter. You drift and dream of footprints, of faces you almost remember, of other fires burning somewhere far away. You dream of rivers, wide, slow-moving currents glinting under pale skies. You're standing at the edge, watching something drift past a bundle of bones tied with reeds, floating towards somewhere you'll never reach. When you wake, your breath is loud in your ears. Your hands are clenched. Your jaw aches. It's still dark. But morning is coming. You feel it in the air. A softness beneath the cold. A weight shifting from one foot to the other, somewhere beyond the trees. You sit up, stretch your legs, wiggle your toes to make sure they still work. They do barely. Someone else stirs nearby. You catch their eye. They nod. You nod back. It's time to move again. The group decides quickly. There's a ridge to the north. Someone saw it yesterday just before sunset. It might offer better shelter, or game trails, or if you're lucky, both. You pack in silence. Hands move efficiently. The fire is smothered with ash. The scraps of meat are divided evenly. The tools are checked. Bindings rewrapped. Boots scraped clean of ice. You leave the bone carvings behind. Not because they aren't important. Because they belong to the place. And this place has given all it can. The climb to the ridge is harder than you expected. Not steep, just long. The snow thickens with every step. The trees get smaller, thinner as you rise. More light filters in, but it brings no warmth. You stop often, shake out your arms, stamp your feet. The air is sharp, each breath like swallowing pine needles. But the view at the top? Worth it. You step onto the ridge, and the world opens up. Below you, a sweeping expanse of forest, rolling hills blanketed in white, and far in the distance movement. Not animals, not wind, smoke. Thin lines of gray rising into the sky from somewhere beyond the valley. Fires, camps, people. The others gather around you. You all stare in the same direction, drawn to that faint signal not because it promises safety, but because it promises someone else survived. The decision is made. You'll head toward the smoke. Not all at once. Not in a straight line. Too dangerous, too visible. But you'll circle, creep, approach from downwind. No one says it aloud, but everyone's thinking the same thing. We don't know who they are. The descent is rougher than the climb. The snow is looser here. You sink deeper, twist ankles, catch your coat on branches. At one point, someone stumbles hard, nearly falls into a gully. You catch their wrist just in time. They nod thanks. Say nothing else, because sometimes words would only ruin the moment. You camp that night in a hollow near a cluster of boulders. The wind is low, the stars are out. For once, the cold feels like something you understand, a constant companion, not an enemy. You roast the last of the meat. Chew in silence. Wrap yourselves tighter in your furs. You don't talk about the smoke, but it hangs in the back of everyone's mind like a song with no lyrics. Someone starts drawing in the dirt again. This time they sketch the ridge, the valley, the trees, and the thin spiral of smoke. Then they add something else. A hand. Small. Open. An offering. A warning. You're not sure. You add a second hand beside it, facing outward. Not toward the smoke, but toward the stars. The others nod. It feels right. In the morning, you wake to frost on your eyelashes. Your breath clouds the air. Your stomach growls. There's no food left, but no one panics. Not yet. You've gone without before. And today, you're not wandering blind. You have a direction, a destination. You walk, carefully, slowly, always watching the horizon. The smoke isn't visible anymore. But you know where it was. You follow the land. Look for paths, for trails, for anything that leads forward. At one point, you find footprints. Old, but not ancient. Humanoid. Barefoot. You crouch beside them, touch the indentations with your fingers. Not yours. Not recent. But someone passed here not long ago. You keep moving. Around midday, you hear something. Not wind, not branches, voices, distant, muffled. You freeze. Everyone does. You crouch low behind a fallen tree, peer through the branches. Ahead figures. 3 of them, wrapped in furs, moving slowly through the snow, carrying something slung between them, a bundle of sticks. A hunted animal? You can't tell. But they don't seem afraid. They're not running, not hiding, just walking. Like you. You watch them until they disappear into the trees. You don't follow. Not yet. But something settles in your chest. Not quite relief, not quite hope. More like recognition. You're not alone out here. And not just in the abstract, existential way. There are people nearby, people like you, or maybe not like you, but alive, and that's enough. Historians often wonder what these first encounters were like. Between small groups of humans, between different tribes, even between different species. Were they peaceful, tense, silent, Was there trade, conflict, curiosity? The truth is, we'll never know for sure. But the fact that you are still here walking through snow and breath suggests at least some of those meetings didn't end in violence. Some ended in stories, in fire, in family. You stop for the night just short of the valley. The stars are high, the fire is low, everyone is quiet, gathered close. You think about the figures from earlier, about the smoke, about the paths you've crossed and the ones you haven't yet seen. You press your hand to the earth beside you. Feel the cold seep in. And then you draw one more symbol in the dirt, a spiral inside a spiral, touching at the edge. 2 journeys, 1 meeting point. You don't know what it means, but maybe tomorrow you'll find out. You wake with the weight of frost on your eyelashes. It's not the cold that wakes you this time. Not hunger, not even fear. Just a sense of tug, a pressure behind your ribs like something in the world has shifted. You blink against the gray light. The sky outside your shelter is pale and low, as if it hasn't quite decided to be day yet. But it's bright enough to move, to pack, to search. You stretch your legs under the furs. Your knees crack softly. You curl your fingers in and out, testing the stiffness. The ache in your joints feels more familiar than your own name. Someone's already outside. You hear the muffled crunch of footsteps in snow. You pull yourself up, tie your coat, step into your boots, still stiff, still damp, and follow. The world outside feels different. Not louder, not warmer, just fuller. The air is heavy with possibility. You scan the trees automatically. Then the ridge beyond them, still nothing. Still snow, still silence. But you remember what you saw. Not the smoke you haven't seen that for a day and a half now. You remember the people. The 3 shapes walking along the slope. The low voices in the trees. The glint of firelight far off. You didn't dream them. And if they're out there, you are going to find them. The group meets quietly. There's no debate, no raised voices, just eyes and nods, and the kind of agreement that doesn't need words. You'll move again today, eastward toward the slope you saw yesterday, toward where the fire must have been. You pack quickly, the bones and tools, the cooked roots, a bit of frozen marrow wrapped in hide. Someone carries the last of the dry wood in a bundle. You leave behind the fire pit, covered gently with snow, like tucking a child into sleep. You walk on. The forest gives way slowly. Each step into the east feels deliberate, like you're entering someone else's story. The trees thin, the ground rises. The wind picks up again, sharp, dry, almost clean. You taste pine in the back of your throat. There are signs, subtle but real. A loop of broken twigs. A heel print, wide and flat. A piece of twisted sinew caught on a branch. None of it is yours. You follow. Around midday, the snow softens underfoot. You stop near a frozen stream. The ice is cracked in one place, revealing water underneath, dark and slow. You cup your hands, drink carefully. It tastes like metal, but it's cold and clear. You pass the water around. No one speaks. Then someone notices a mark near the bank. A carved stake, barely taller than your knee, driven into the earth and coated in ash. A sign. Territory? A warning? A trail marker? You glance at the others. No one knows, but no one turns back. By late afternoon, you smell it again. Smoke. Not strong, just a faint trace on the wind. You freeze. So does everyone else. You tilt your head, narrow your eyes. You can almost see the shape of it, a curl, a wisp, rising just behind the ridge. You press your hand into the snow, a silent signal. Wait. Then move. You approach slowly. Every sound is magnified: your breath, the creak of your boots, the brush of hide against tree bark. You move in single file, one behind the other. The ridge rises in front of you. You crouch, crawl, and then you see it. A camp. Not yours. Not like yours. Larger. Organized. More people than you've seen in moons. Maybe 30. Maybe more. They built frames from branches, covered them in layered hides. A ring of fire pits smolders gently, protected by low stone circles. Children chase one another around the edges. A woman tends to a rack of drying meat. 2 men carve spears from long dark wood. And in the center, a tall man stands with his arms folded, watching the sky. You duck behind a snow-covered log. Your breath is shallow, your heart pounds. Are you seen? Are you welcome? Or are you prey? Historians still debate how early humans handled contact. Did groups merge? Did they trade? Fight? Were strangers a gift, new blood, new ideas, or a threat to scarce food and precious safety? You crouch behind the ridge and feel the weight of that question pressing into your back. You reach into your pouch, feel the smooth shape of a carved bone. You don't know why you bring it out, but you do. You run your thumb over its edge, and then you stand, slowly, hands open, palms out. No weapons, no sudden moves. You step over the log, walk into view. Someone sees you. A young boy. His eyes widen. He calls out a high sound like a bird. The camp reacts like a body, turning, freezing. You stop, raise your hand. One of them calls something. You don't know the word, but it doesn't sound angry. A man approaches. Older, thick coat, short beard. He studies you, then looks past you at the others still behind the ridge. You turn slightly, gesture to them. The man nods, signals back. Come. Your group steps into the clearing. You approach slowly. The others in the camp move aside, forming a loose circle. No weapons drawn, no shouting. Just eyes. So many eyes. Watching. Waiting. You open your pouch. Take out the bone. Hold it forward. The man looks at it. Takes it gently. He studies the spiral you carved days ago, then reaches into his pouch, pulls out a stone flat, round, painted with a similar shape. His eyes meet yours. He says something. You don't understand the sound, but you understand the meaning. You're not strangers. Not entirely. They share food, boiled roots, meat dried until it cracks, a sweet paste made from berries long out of season. You eat, you smile, you sit close to their fire, and you listen. You try to echo their words, repeat sounds, offer your own. By nightfall, you're trading not just food, but stories in gestures, in songs, in lines traced on skin with a finger. You sleep with warmth on every side. Not just fire, people, a tribe, even if just for a night. You dream of spirals, of joined hands, of maps without borders. Tomorrow, everything might change. But tonight, you are a part of something again. You wake to voice, soft, hushed, and not your own. It takes a few seconds to place yourself, the unfamiliar crackle of a larger fire, the scent of stronger food, the rustle of more people moving before sunrise. You're not in your shelter, not in your small camp, huddled around a flickering flame. You're with them now. The other group, the ones you found or who found you. And they haven't left yet. Not without you. You sit up slowly, feeling the stiffness in your back from a better night's sleep. Straw, fur, and warmth. 3 luxuries, none of which you had the day before. Your breath still fogs in the air, but it doesn't feel sharp anymore. Just present. Just part of the rhythm. You stretch. Someone passes by. A woman, older, carrying firewood in her arms. She doesn't stop. But she doesn't avoid your eyes either. That's how it begins. You move toward the fire, your steps slow and quiet. You're trying not to seem too eager, trying not to disturb anything, but you also don't want to be forgotten. Your group is already awake. They're seated near one of the smaller fires, eating from shared bowls. Root mash, maybe some fish oil. It smells sharp and earthy. You sit with them. A child from the other group brings you a piece of bark-wrapped food and sets it in your lap. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't have to. You nod in thanks. She watches you for a moment, then runs back to her people. You eat slowly. The food is filling. Strangely sweet. It's been too long since your mouth had flavor. Not just warmth, not just smoke, but taste. It makes you feel human again. You glance around. The camp is waking in stages. Voices are low, movements practiced. No chaos, no rush, but a clear sense of purpose. They're preparing to leave. You can see it in the way they fold hides, gather sharpened tools, tie bundles with long practice motions. This is not a permanent place. It was never meant to be. They are travelers, like you. You step away from your fire and approach the group's elders. They are crouched near a series of stones, laid out in patterns, some kind of map or memory, or both. You hesitate before stepping closer, but one of them sees you. He waves you forward, a small gesture, but not unkind. You kneel beside them, watching. They speak in a language you don't know, but their tone is open, not secretive. You point to a path drawn in the dirt beside the stones. Then you point to yourself, then to your people. The elder watches your hands, his eyes steady. He leans down, draws a spiral beside the path. Then he draws a second spiral just touching the first. You nod. He nods back. That's how it's said. You can walk with us. By mid-morning, the two groups merge into a long, snaking line and begin walking. You take your place near the rear, but one of the other group's hunters gestures for you to move forward. You hesitate, but he insists, so you walk beside him. His name, you learn, is something like Ruck. You don't get it exactly right. But he laughs when you try, taps his chest and says it again. You say your own name. He repeats it. It sounds strange in his mouth, but not unkind. He points at a tree, a thick one with long curved bark. Roka. You nod. You learn. The trail they follow winds through low hills, along a river that's half frozen. You stop occasionally to drink, to adjust the bundles, to listen for movement in the trees. A few times you see prints, old ones. Other people? Animals? It's hard to say. But the group changes formation slightly each time they find one. They've done this before. They move like water, slow, wide, adaptive. At midday, you rest near a ridge overlooking a long valley. It's breathtaking. Dark evergreens, patches of mist, and what might be animals moving in the distance too far to tell what. You sit beside Ruck. He opens a pouch and hands you a dried piece of meat. Tough but fatty. You nod thanks. He takes a sharp piece of bone and starts carving into a stick. Not a weapon, just a rhythm. A way to pass the time. You do the same. Two people, two tools. One silence shared like a blanket. Historians still argue how language formed, how it leapt from gesture to sound to symbol. Some say it began with trade, others with survival. Some say it was music first, that we sang before we spoke. Here in this quiet, you begin to believe it was rhythm, movement, mirrored action. You and Roke carve, not the same patterns, but the same pace. And somehow, that's enough. By evening, the group finds a large rock outcrop, a natural windbreak, a good place to settle for the night. The fires are built quickly, efficiently. You help without being asked. Collecting kindling, packing snow into water skins. No one stops you. No one watches you like an outsider. You are doing what they do. That's what matters. Later, you sit beside the largest fire. A few of the group begin to hum, a song low, drawn out, like wind moving across skin. One woman draws with her finger in the dirt. Circles, lines, a starburst. You recognize none of it, but it feels like a story. A long one. You add a mark of your own. The spiral. Your spiral. The woman doesn't erase it. She adds to it. Together the shapes become something new. A map, a memory, or maybe a future. You don't need to know, you just need to listen. And stay. You wake to voices. Familiar ones, soft, measured, not the sharp commands of strangers, nor the whispered watchfulness of newcomers. These voices are more casual now, less guarded. Still in a language you don't fully understand, but somehow you understand anyway. You rise slowly, stretching limbs that no longer ache so sharply. Your joints complain out of habit, not hardship. The ground beneath your mat of straw and hides is firmer here, but warmer than it used to be. Your body is learning to rest again. That's a strange realization. It hits you all at once. You haven't dreamt of fear in 2 nights. The morning is busy, not rushed, but purposeful. People clean tools, tend to the fires, boil roots into thick steaming paste. You're handed a bowl, no ceremony, no special glance, just handed. The way you'd offer food to anyone who belonged. You sit and eat slowly. It's bland, earthy, but warm. You glance around at your group, still close, but no longer clustered apart. The gaps between people have shortened. That unspoken space of caution, it's dissolving. A child you've seen before, maybe 6, maybe younger, walks by and tugs your coat. She points to a flat stone and babbles something. You don't know the words, but she gestures again, more insistent. You follow. She leads you toward a hollow beneath a stone ledge, a wide, shadowed wall. On it markings, dozens of them. Symbols painted in red and black. Lines, spirals, animals with long legs and curved horns. A handprint mall pressed high near the top. Another beside it. Then more. Some are old, flaking. Others are fresh, shining slightly in the low light. You step closer. Something inside you slows, the sense of a place thick with meaning. The child places her hand beside one of the old prints. Then she presses her palm gently into a blank space. You watch, you listen, not to sound, to stillness, to the weight of memory. Later, Rogue finds you tracing one of the spirals with your finger. He laughs softly, just a puff of air, then kneels beside you. He points to a red symbol, 3 lines crossing in a star shape. Then he points upward, to the open sky. You look, it's midday, but the moon still floats faintly above the trees. He taps his chest, then the star shape, then your chest, then another symbol, 2 curved lines like waves. His gestures paint a story you don't fully grasp, but the meaning lingers. Something about the moon, about belonging, about paths that follow water. You nod. He smiles. Not because you understood everything, but because you tried. In the afternoon, a small group leaves the camp. Hunters. You're not asked to go, but one of them gestures loosely as they pass you a slight nod of the chin, a raised eyebrow. You recognize it. Not an invitation exactly, but not exclusion either. You walk behind them for a while, keeping distance. Just watching. They move through the trees like smoke, low and quiet. Their feet know the land like hands know skin. You trip twice before you realize they step only on roots, on hard-packed soil. Never the snow. They pause near a clearing. A rabbit darts between roots. A flash of motion, too fast, but a spear flies anyway, arcing smooth and silent through the air. It misses, but no one scolds. The hunter shrugs. They move on, you grin. So do they. Even failure is shared. Even this is part of the rhythm. By evening, the group returns. No great prize, just a few hairs, some roots dug from beneath icy soil. The fire feels warmer tonight. Maybe it's the food. Maybe it's you. You sit close to the others, closer than before. You share your part of the work, stripping the hide from a rabbit, twisting sinew for cord. No one watches your hands anymore. They trust you'll do it right, or at least close enough. Later, you are brought a gift. Small, smooth. A stone carved into the shape of a bird. Its wings are etched with lines that remind you of the drawings on the cave wall. The woman who gives it to you says a single word. You repeat it. She says it again, smiling this time. Then gestures for you to wear it. You tie it around your neck, carefully, as if the stone might break. But it doesn't. It's heavy in the best way. Historians often debate when gift-giving became ritual, when a simple offering shifted into symbol, into identity, into relationship. Was it necessity, trade, gratitude? Or was it something older, a wordless, I see you, you matter, you stay? You don't care about the theory, you care about the stone, and how it feels on your chest, warming slowly as the fire glows brighter. That night, someone sings again. Not the same song as before. This one is slower, more like breath than music. It rises like mist, settles on the fire. Others hum along. One person taps rhythm into the dirt. Another weaves grass into loops, their fingers moving almost automatically. You add your voice this time, not loud, but present. Your pitch is off, your words are wrong, but no one corrects you. That's not what this is for. As the flames die low, Rogue sits beside you again. He pulls something from his pouch, a string of beads, each a different color. Bone, shell, amber. He unties it slowly, breaks off one segment, and hands it to you. A gesture without translation. You don't try to ask what it means. You just bow your head slightly and take it. Thread it through your coat. Another knot in the net pulling you toward this new version of life. You lie down that night with a hum of soft voices in your ears and the weight of small, beautiful things pressed to your skin. You sleep without dreams. You no longer need them. You are already inside one. The morning begins not with noise, but with motion. Gentle motion. A slow unraveling of rest into readiness. You open your eyes to the sound of laces being tied, furs being folded, boots thudding softly against cold earth. No shouts, no barking orders. Just the quiet agreement of people who've done this many times before. It's time to move. You stretch under your blanket of straw and hide. The air bites your face, but less so than it used to. Maybe the weather's changing. Or maybe you are. You sit up, run your hands through your hair, shake off the last traces of sleep, and begin to pack. No one needs to tell you what to do. You know now. Your fingers move with confidence. You roll your fur tightly, tie it with sinew, slide your few tools into your pouch, the flintstone, the bone charm, the dried bark. You glance around. Everyone else is already halfway packed. Some are checking each other's bundles, adjusting the weight, passing down extra strips of leather. It's not rushed, just efficient. Ruck walks past, slinging a heavy bag over one shoulder. He nods to you without stopping. It's a silent code. Not just ready, but you're one of us now. Keep up. You nod back. No words are needed. The sun is still low when you leave camp. The trees cast long shadows, stretched thin like fingers pointing east. The air smells of frost and old fire. You inhale deeply. It smells like survival. You join the line, midway between your group and theirs. Though really it's all one group now. No more clear boundaries. You walk past the old fire pit, half covered in snow. Someone left a bone there, carved in the shape of a spiral. Maybe they were thinking of you. Maybe it's coincidence. You leave it where it is. Not everything must be taken. The path leads upward, toward higher ground, where the trees thin and the wind finds every gap in your coat. You brace against the cold, pull your hood tighter, and keep walking. Footsteps crunch beside you. The woman with the scarred lip walks silently, her hands tucked under her cloak. You offer her a glance. She meets it, then pulls a small branch from her belt, a twig bent into the shape of a loop. She hands it to you. You turn it over in your palm. It smells faintly of ash and pine. You don't ask what it means. You don't need to. You tie it into your belt. By midday, the group pauses in a clearing near a frozen stream. Snow lies in shallow drifts here, undisturbed except for the trail you've carved behind you. People sit, unwrap small bundles, begin to eat. You share what you have, a bit of dried root, a strip of meat that tastes more like leather than food. But it fills your stomach, and that's enough. Ruck sits beside you again. He draws shapes in the snow with a stick, a circle, a wave, a jagged line. He points to each in turn, saying a word each time. You repeat them. Badly. He laughs, but not unkindly. Then he hands you the stick. You draw your own symbols. The spiral, the bird, the star you saw on the cave wall. Roke watches, then adds to your drawing a curved line underneath, like a cradle. You both nod. Whatever it means, you understand each other. The group starts walking again. You fall into rhythm. Boots sinking into snow. Breath puffing like clouds. Every so often, someone whistles a signal, a check, a song. It's hard to tell the difference anymore. That afternoon, you pass by an outcropping of stone. Weathered, covered in moss and frozen lichen, but carved. Clearly. Deep lines etched into the surface. Hands, eyes, a long figure holding something like a torch. People stop and look. Not for long. Just enough to feel it. History doesn't wait. It just leaves marks behind. You place your hand on the stone. Cold, rough. You whisper your name into the wind. Not that anyone will hear, but the stone might. Later, as the sun begins to fall, you come across another group. Not as large, 6, maybe 7 people. They look tired, thin. One of them has a swollen leg, wrapped in bark and hide. They are not dangerous, they are surviving. Your group hesitates, then approaches slowly. There are gestures, shared words, even if not all of them are shared languages. One woman from their group weeps quietly when your people hand her food. She kisses the hand that gives it. You do not stare. You offer water instead. She drinks and looks at you like you've returned from the dead. Maybe you have. That evening, the two groups camp together. Small fires, big silences, a few songs. Someone draws with a burnt stick on a slab of bark shapes, paths, guesses about what's ahead. You watch, then add your spiral again. This time, someone else draws one too. A slightly different curve, but clearly inspired. You say the word you know for it, then point at yourself. The person nods, says their own version of the word, then points back at you. 2 names, same shape, same story. Historians still debate when storytelling began to shift from memory to meaning, when stories stopped being what happened and became who we are. But in this moment, you're not debating. You're drawing spirals on bark, passing meaning across languages, across fires, across hands. A child sits next to you. They trace the spiral over and over, then press their palm into the snow beside it. They look up at you and smile. You smile back. Before sleep, someone gives you a pouch. It's heavy with small stones, marked with scratches, symbols. Not valuable, not needed, but meaningful. You press it to your chest before sliding it into your coat. The cold can't reach it there. Not anymore. As the fire fades and the stars return, you lie down beside the newest strangers who already feel like something else. Maybe not friends, maybe not yet family, but something warmer than other, something closer than outsider. You breathe in deep. The sky overhead looks like it's listening, and beneath it you sleep carrying the weight of names, of stories, of spirals. And for the first time in your life, you do not feel alone under the stars. You wake to a sound you know well now, faint movement in the snow, boots brushing past furs, tools being lifted, tested, faint murmurs between early risers, spoken low and short. You blink against the cold air. Frost clings to the inside of your hood. Your breath hangs in a slow, white cloud. The world is still pale and quiet, but something has shifted. People are preparing to move again. You sit up, joints stiff but strong. Your body, once so unused to cold and effort, now bends and straightens without protest. Your legs remember the trail. Your back no longer aches from carrying weight. You pull on your boots and tighten the laces with cold fingers, each knot practiced, familiar. You pack your pouch bone needle, stone flint, dried meat, and a small spiral charm tied to a strip of hide. When you first joined them, your bundle was almost empty. Now it's full of little pieces of belonging. The morning light is soft and gray, filtering through a sky still thick with clouds. You're not the only one watching the sky. Rout glances upward, squinting, then makes a slow hand gesture. Direction, timing, maybe even a warning. You've learned enough to read that gesture clearly. Weather is coming. We move now or we move badly later. The elders agree. You begin to walk. The group stretches into a long, quiet line through the snowy landscape. Boots crush frozen twigs. Snow squeaks under weight. The sound of movement is all around you, but no one speaks unless they need to. This is travel time. This is listening time. You fall in step beside the woman with the braided hair. She smells faintly of smoke and dried herbs. She nods once, then hands you a strip of dried root to chew. It's bitter, but your jaw works slowly through it anyway. Food is food. You both glance toward the trees as a small flock of birds bursts into the sky. Startled. Maybe something or someone is moving nearby. You pause, listening. But there's no danger. Just silence again. And the long rhythm of feet against earth. By midday, you reach a ridge. The trees part. The world opens up. Below you, a wide valley, silver with frost, dotted with clumps of evergreens. In the distance, a thin curl of smoke rising into the sky. A fire. Someone is already there. The group halts. Everyone watches. No one speaks. Not out of fear, out of memory, out of experience. Strangers can be many things. Sometimes food, sometimes friendship, sometimes something else. Scouts are sent ahead. You don't volunteer. Not yet. But you stay close to Rook, watching, listening. He points to the smoke with one hand, makes a small circle with the other. That means wait. You wait. When the scouts return, they bring good news. A small group, not aggressive, camped along a frozen stream. No signs of weapons ready. Children present. So your group approaches. Carefully, deliberately. As you get closer, you begin to see them. 3 tents, a central fire, a sled resting against a tree. The people are wrapped in thick layers, hunched against the cold. They watch your group, but don't raise alarm. One of their elders steps forward. 2 of yours meet him halfway. The rest of you stay back. You stand just behind Rook, close enough to hear the wind whisper between trees, but too far to catch words. What you read instead are movements, hands shown empty, heads bowed slightly, tools offered, flint, antler, dried bark. These are the things people do when they want to stay alive and stay civil. After a long moment, you see a smile. It's small, but it's enough. The two groups begin to merge, like branches crossing. Your people help carry wood to their fire. They hand over a bundle of dried mushrooms. In return, you're offered smoked fish, its skin curling and dark. You bite into it. It's strong, oily, but good. You sit near their fire, legs crossed. A girl comes and sits beside you. She holds out her hand, revealing a small bone carving an animal of some kind. A fox, maybe, or a deer. She places it in your palm. Waits. You reach into your coat and pull out your spiral charm. You show her. She touches it carefully, then places the bone fox beside it. No words. Just objects. Just meaning. The two of you sit quietly for a long time. Later that evening, a man from the other camp shows you how to twist sinew into thread. His fingers are thick, his movements slow and certain. You mimic him, biting your tongue in concentration. He watches, then nods. You finish the loop. Hold it up. It's not perfect, but it holds. He claps once, then tosses you a thin strip of hide. You've passed the test, whatever it was. As night deepens, the fires grow brighter. The two groups sit in loose circles. Stories are shared not as full tales, but in fragments. Hand motions, drawings in the dirt, gestures of hunts and storms and animals. You watch, then join in. You draw your mountain trail. You trace the spiral. You mimic the leap of the deer you once chased. People laugh, people nod. One elder leans forward and touches your coat, then your chest, then the ground. A sign. You're rooted here now, at least for the night. Historians still wonder when temporary camps became long-term alliances, when people stopped merely sharing food and began sharing futures. Was it during hard winters, long hunts, or times like this, fires shared between strangers who knew the same cold? Before bed, someone sings. A soft, humming tune, not quite a lullaby, not quite a prayer. You lie back and listen. The girl who gave you the bone fox sleeps beside her mother, curled in a thick fur. Someone adds a log to the fire. The sky above glows faintly with distant stars. You don't know their names, but you think maybe someday someone will give them one. And it will be passed down. Not written, not drawn, just told. You close your eyes. The fire crackles. The spiral rests against your skin. Your last thought is simple. This is how people stay alive. Together. You wake to warmth. Not from the fire that's burned low, just embers now, but from the weight of presence. People nearby, breathing. The soft rustle of someone shifting beneath a hide. The whisper of wind just outside the tent. Your eyes blink open slowly. Light filters through the seams. It's dawn. But it's not just a new day. It feels like something else. Like a page turning. Like the end of a chapter and the start of one you haven't read yet. You sit up, stretch, breathe. Outside, someone laughs softly. You don't know who. It doesn't matter. It's a good sound. Today the group will split. Not from conflict, but from decision. Some will stay in this winter camp. Some, like Roke, will move on. Keep following the rivers, looking for better ground, or better company, or both. You are offered a choice. No one says it aloud, but it is there, in the way people look at you when they pass. The slight pause, the raised eyebrows, the space left open beside their sleds. You've earned the right to choose now. Stay or go. You walk the camp slowly, familiar faces, people who were strangers just weeks ago. Now you know their gaits, their coughs, their laughs, the shapes of their stories. You pass the girl with the fox carving. She's tying feathers to a piece of bark. Maybe for luck, maybe for fun. She waves at you. You wave back. You keep walking. At the center of the camp, the two elder son from each group sit beside the fire. They speak softly, their voices like weathered bark, words that carry weight. One of them points at the horizon. The other just nods. No maps, no plans written down. But direction lives in their eyes. Rug finds you near the sleds. He lifts a pack, adjusts the strap, then turns to you. He says your name, the one his people gave you. You nod. He gestures, open hand, palm out. An invitation. Then he shrugs, as if to say, up to you. And it is. You don't answer right away. You look toward the stream, where two children are skipping stones across the thin ice. Then back toward the path that stretches east, beyond the trees, toward something unseen. You decide to walk for a while, just outside the camp. Not to run away to think. The snow here is shallow, crusted on top, soft underneath. Your boots crunch. You leave a long trail behind you, like a line on a blank page. You stop at a bend in the river. Birds scatter from a tree. A fox darts behind a rock. Everything is in motion, even you. You sit down on a flat stone. The cold seeps through your coat. You don't mind. You open your pouch, pull out the pieces you've gathered, the spiral charm, the carved shell, a piece of knotted grass, a flint blade, a bit of ochre-stained wood. Little things. But they carry everything. You hold each one, noticing the texture, the weight. Then you tie them together. A bundle, your story. Woven not in words, but in pieces of the earth. Historians still argue when memory became history. When personal tokens turned into shared myths. When a story stopped being mine and became ours. They debate it with books and lectures, carbon dating, and stratified soil. But here, right now, you know the answer. It happens quietly. It happens when someone sits by a fire and someone else listens. It happens when a spiral is drawn in the dirt and a child repeats it. It happens in places just like this. You return to camp as the sun climbs higher. You've made your choice. You nod to Rock. You'll go. He grins. Hands you a longer coat. Thicker. Better for the wind. You accept it. You thank the elders. They press their foreheads to yours, a blessing or a goodbye or both. You look around one last time, not to remember, to honor. Every footprint in this snow is a sentence in your story. You won't forget. The sleds begin to move. Not many. Just enough. You walk beside one, steady, step by step. You don't look back. Not because you don't care. Because forward is where the story goes. And the story isn't done. Not yet. The path grows quiet again. The crunch of boots on snow softens with each step. Your breath slows, your shoulders relax. The forest thins. The wind picks up, but it's gentle now, more whisper than howl. Overhead, the sky fades into pale silver. Clouds stretch thin like wool across the heavens. You walk slower. Not because you're tired, but because this part of the journey deserves to last. Your fingers trail along the edge of your coat. You feel the spiral charm resting near your chest, the tiny bundle tied tight, each piece of it warm from your body's heat. You think about all the people you've met, not just their names, but their rhythms, their silences, their gifts, the firelight in their eyes. You think about the child who pressed the feather into your coat, about the song that echoed between camps, and you think, maybe this is what it means to be human, to walk into unknown places and leave warmth behind you, to gather little things, stones, words, kindness, and carry them forward. The trail bends, you follow it. And as the sky dims to dusk and the stars begin to blink awake, you close your eyes for a moment. You hear the wind again, just barely. It sounds like a voice, a memory, a lullaby from 100,000 years ago, calling you forward, telling you you're not alone, that you never were. You breathe in deep, then take the next step. End of story. Sweet dreams.